Live stream here on a Sunday. What time is it? It's 10:32. I'm doing an experiment. I was told that if I do a live video, okay, here we go, that I can watch on my big monitor here. See, I got a big monitor right here. Well, you can't see it. There it is. And it's going to be easier for me to read the comments. So let's see how this works out. All right. So I'm going to watch it on my own computer. All right. Well, there's a huge lag. So I am going to turn down the volume so I don't have to hear myself. Another thing is on the last live, the chat never really accumulated down the side of the video. And I was expecting that to happen. So, by the looks of it, 3 watching right now and 81 seconds into this. Well, you saw the title. Bust out another 1,000. B-O-A-T. That is the name of this video. You know, I guess, everybody wants to own a boat. But owning a boat is a real bitch, I mean, it's not good. I'm looking at boats. I'm a ever-present shopper. And I am looking at fiberglass boats. And the reason being is for the sheer fact that if I had an aluminum boat, if I looked at an aluminum boat again, it's a long build process. It could take 12, 14 months easily, easily. And if you buy a used boat, my God, are you taking in a Pandora's box. I have been studying this day after day after day after day. And what I'm learning is there is more transom replacement videos on YouTube than there is probably anything else. I mean, as far as when it comes to boat repair, boat maintenance, that type of stuff. Look at it sometime. Everybody has an old junker and they're replacing the transom because they're trying to get by cheap. Well, that's something that I couldn't do. I don't want to do. And I'm looking at all these old junkers. I've got lists of them. I've looked at Boat Trader and Smart Marine and all the brokerages and everything. And in today's world, right now, you can't get anything worth a hoot for less than about $90,000 to $100,000. Now, here was my idea. Stick with me here because I'm poor and I need to do everything in the most efficient way. Here's what I'd love to do. I would love to find that in that thumbnail of this video is a 29 Seahawk, brand new, C-Hawk, 29 footer with a bracket on it, sitting on a triple axle trailer. And that would give me so much room to take out the 400 pounders, the, as, as a guy that I used to work with he used to say, the group sisters, um, it would enable me to easily take 6 people because I constantly get, well, how come you don't take 6? And I go, because 4 is already a crowd. And inshore fishing isn't a crowd type activity. It is a smaller group activity. And everybody, thinks, well, okay, whatever the rate is, divided by 4. Oh, divided by 5. Oh, divided by 6. Oh, it's so much cheaper if we just do a Cuban refugee raft. Okay. So how many can we stuff on the boat? Nobody's looking for a quality day, a flexible day. They're not looking for that. And I'm realizing now after, 26 years that you can't beat them. That's what they want. Fishing is literally pretty much on the back burner. So boats are just getting so expensive. I don't understand why. Because just 3 years ago, it was there was some normalcy to the price. Captain Dave in a glass boat does not compute. Well, it computes when you don't feel like spending a year waiting on a boat build, okay? And I'll tell you honestly, for what you pay, this is the whole conundrum here. What you pay for a used boat, let's say I've been looking at 25 to 27 foot Grady Whites, but they're 20 and 25 years old. Do you know for that same price, I can go to Louisiana and get a boat built to my specifications? Oh, okay, we got in some other comments coming in. Yo, Dave, go aluminum or go home. That was Frank. Blasted Cat says, I get it, Seahawk is a good ride. Well, Seahawk and Maycraft, I don't know if you know this, if you're familiar with any of these boats. Seahawk, Ken May was sort of a founder or a partner or something in C-Hawk boats. And then he left and started Maycraft. I had a Maycraft. I had a 23-foot Maycraft in 1996. Fished out of both in the Gulf. Blasted Cat. Well, I had a 23-footer. And it was a great boat. Great boat. I had it set up like ungodly charter, way for charters. The problem was this is before they started putting closed transom and brackets on them. And what I kind of despised after a while is around here, everybody fishes with the current. So you could, customers of mine could start up in the bow. It's funny. I mean, I see this stuff. I'm like, telepathy. I know what's going to happen. I get 2 guys standing up in the bow. The current's blasting because it's always running like holy hell around here. By 2 hours later, the 2 guys in the back have the 2 guys in the front standing right next to them. And if these dudes were 300, 350 pounds apiece, very common now, very common. I'd have a 30-gallon live well filled up, and the next thing I know is that cut transom in that Maycraft was that far from going completely underwater. I mean, it was just too much weight for the boat. I had a Evinrude 200 carbureted engine in the beginning, and then ended up selling it with a Yamaha 200 HPDI. I could never go 4-stroke on that boat. That boat was not made for 4-stroke. It wasn't built for 4-stroke. It was not built for that weight. Okay. But I can tell you today, after doing a lot of looking at them, Maycraft since 1996 has come a long, long way. They're very open. Where you get all your information, a lot of information about these boat builders is literally on their Facebook page and their Facebook owners group. You know, everybody's got to have a little bullshit thingy going on Facebook, right? Spider Code Knife Group, Cold Steel Knife Group, Maycraft Boat Group, you know, Straw Hat Group. I mean, it's constant. So what happens is they're quite open. You can kind of see what's going on. And I've got a lot of questions for Maycraft, that's for sure. But to get back to it, I mean, you're looking at, say, a 20-year-old Grady White with twin Yamaha on it, you know, carbureted Yamahas. You might see an HPDI Yamaha on it. And the next thing you know is that thing is 60 to 65,000. Now, that's what they say, but is that what they'll take? 99% of these boats are sitting on a lift in La La Land, Florida. Do you know where La La Land, Florida is? It just got slammed by a goddamn hurricane is what happened to it. If you live down there in one of the canal neighborhoods or whatever, you got slammed. So there's a whole bunch of boats down there sitting in lifts or up in dry stacks. These people don't even own a trailer. And they're asking this kind of money. So that means you got to go buy a trailer. All right? You do not know what the condition of these boats are until you drive down there, spend time. The closest one I found was in Melbourne. In that area, Cocoa Beach, Melbourne area, Rockledge. A Grady White that looked really good. But I don't believe it had a trailer. And then here's another dead giveaway that I would never do. I wouldn't buy a boat in a million years that's bottom painted and sitting in the water. I'm not doing it. I'm not buying anything that's sitting in the water. Because to me, from what I gather, if you've got one little tiny issue with a screw leaking water around your transducer bracket or something, and you have it sitting in your canal or your creek or something behind your house, well, when I show up with a moisture meter, which I've been studying into here, and I find it's completely moistured all the way around that area, that means that's going to eventually need a transom change out. And that could be thousands and thousands of dollars. And or do it yourself, and then you ain't fishing for how long? How long? You're not fishing. So all these boats just got huge. Everything's got an issue. Call Silver Ships, I know. They build boats over there. I've talked to them already. I know. They wouldn't even answer a question when I sent a form on their website. They wouldn't even answer a question, an email from me. The only thing about them, Frank, is they're closer than like where my boat was built. But then it's not that much further to go to Berwick, Louisiana, and go to Scully's or go to Hanko's over there and have a boat built. But on the other hand, I got this little angel right here, and I got this little devil right here. And the devil is called my dad. And he might be watching. Are you out there? And he says, people don't want to go on these aluminum boats. They want to go on a fluff boat. Because he would be your average dude on the street. That's what his thing is. He's your average dude. He wants to sit and lean back. Oh man, I won't get comfortable. That's what he says. That's what he wants to do. Because he doesn't give two shits about really fishing. You hope like holy hell that you take people who are actually interested in fishing. But I can tell you honestly, that's 50-50. 50 are out there for a picnic on the water because they bring so much groceries. They bring more groceries than I have in my damn house, than I've ever had in my house as a bachelor. So you got that crowd, you know. And actually it works out that when you're fishing and you got serious people, let's say you got mom, dad, an 8-year-old, and a 19-year-old. This is very stereotypical. Well, mom and the 8-year-old are into it for the first 30 minutes. Then they kind of migrate to the bow and they start laying around or sitting down and drinking sodas and eating fruit cups. And then I got dad and the 19-year-old in the back of the boat. So in all reality, I would need, which that Grady, these Grady's are unbelievable. They're serious party in the back when it comes to fishing, and they're serious fluff in the bow with the V thing with the cushions on it. Oh man, mom and 8-year-old could sit up there and just be on a picnic on a boat, because that's what a lot of people want. They're not serious fishermen. You know, they're on vacation, so they're out here just wanting to do something, since there's nothing really to do in Jacksonville, Florida in the first place. So that would be sort of good, because then you got all this room in the back to do serious fishing, and then you got all your fluff crap up in the front. And then you got your opening the console, and you got your little toilet down there. So what's this? Blasted Cat, he's a big commenter here. As you know, with older boats, odds are if the transom is bad, the stringers in the floor are right there behind it. Spent many a day in a fiberglass shop. I've seen the horror stories live and close up. Yep. Yeah, that's, you know, and what do you got in this boat maybe? $50,000? $50,000 to me is more than I spent on my first house. I am not spending just $50,000 out there, because here's what the ultimate plan is. I'm kind of not sticking with my program here. I want to stick with my program. I would like to get a bigger boat. Oh, here's Alex Boating and Fishing. What's Alex say? In my IMO, what's that? In my opinion, it ain't the boat, it's the spots. If I'm paying charter prices, I want to be trolling for kings or dropping at the ledge. Okay, that's fine and dandy, and you get on that kind of boat. Me, personally, trolling is boring. Dropping at the ledge costs huge money. I don't have that kind of money. I don't have that kind of money to go on a boat and go out to the ledge. Hell, I don't have enough money to go out on a nice day myself. You notice I'm not even being able to do any R&D. Because I'm not going to go out and blow $100 just for me goofing around. You know what I mean? I've goofed around for so many years in that river. It's not, goofing around ain't even all that much enlightening anymore, really. But what I'd love to have, I got a really good 250 Suzuki. It's a 30-inch transom. That's the only problem. A lot of boats have 25. I got a really good sounder. I'm very happy with it. I don't need to be changing up like iPhones or something every 2 years. I'm happy with my sounder. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to utilize my engine if I could. Because that, let's say on a new boat, on a bigger boat, number one, bigger, way more expensive. What that does, in my position, is it drops the price by about $25,000. So if I could, I'd love to someday be able to afford. That 29 Seahawk is a little much. I mean, there's a 27 Maycraft, but the whole idea is I want something that's like 9.5 foot wide by at least 27. That's what I'd love. Something with more room. A lot more room than even on my boat now. And I got a lot of room now, but you put on 4 350 pounders and then me, I'm not a lightweight, but here's the difference. I can move. I can move with a boat, and I know how to do it. Right? You get people that lumber around, get 4 of them on one side. Next thing you know, you feel like you're all tipping over. So, I would love to utilize my engine on the back of a brand new hull, because I can't even imagine spending the money on, say, a 20-year-old Grady or something like that. Use the engines, if they come with 2 strokes until you get pissed off with them. You sell them off, take my engine, put it on there, boom, back in business, right? And that leaves me with a hull. A hull and maybe a trailer. Nobody wants, let me ask if your opinion's out there. Would you buy a hull if it was super priced right? Just a hull. Doesn't matter what it is. A hull of a boat on a trailer if it was priced really right. Most people are going to go, nah. I think most people are going to say, no. No, I'm not going to buy it, because then I have to go out and put an engine on it. What do you think? Me? I mean, I would love to find, me personally right now, would love to find a big 27-footer sitting on a trailer with no engine, no sounder, no T-top, no nothing. Boy, that's what I would love to find. Put in the comments here in the chat if you think that it would be ever something that you'd ever even contemplate. Buying a hull and you put the engine on it. I mean, that's one of those things I'm sitting there wobbling about. But I've been looking up at these. Okay, Alex says, I would at the right price. Absolutely. Hal purchased my last 2 boats, passed my inspection, and it's on. Okay. Well, there you go. There you go. That's how I feel about it. But why isn't there? There's no just hulls out there. There ain't a hull. They all got some engine on the back, and they want money for it, even though I would just be bolting it, dropping that son of a gun on a pallet somewhere or on some truck tires and getting rid of it. So that's the conundrum. Right now is not a time to do anything, I guess, really. Because, who's still running the show here is old Sleepy Joe. And I keep reading how it ain't going to get any better. So expect over the next 2 years for it to even worse than it is right now. So that's what was on my mind. As you can see, what I'm going to try to be doing here is every Sunday, if I can, I'm going to try to do a live stream, just like we're doing now, with what's on my mind. Just for thought, because maybe my thoughts are different than your thoughts. And you might be interested in how, I might think compared to how you're thinking, okay? I'm hoping this chat shows up after this is published, because like I said, this was a bit of an experiment here on seeing if this actually works, because last time it didn't. I don't know why. The Weekend Warriors won't buy a hull, but a real guy wants to rig it the way he wants. No shit, Dave Farrell. No shit. I mean, that's what it's all about. Let me give you an example. Let's concentrate here. I'm looking, just for shits and giggles, I'm looking at a 27 or 26 or a 25 Grady. It's 20 years old. 20 years old. And you know that if I got on that boat with 4 people to go out here to the Mayport jetties and go fishing, I cannot carry the tackle that I want to carry. I can't carry it. With 4 people and me, that means, let's say I might be going float rigging, so I need at least 2 to 3 float rigs. Even though I usually don't float rig 4 off the back of the boat, because that is absolutely no way. People don't know how. the people I'm taking don't have the skills to keep, and it's nothing, I'm nothing against them, but they just don't have a way of keeping the floats from doing this all over the place. So I might be going float rig fish, so I need 2 or 3 float rigs. Then we need bottom tackle, so I need at least 4 or 5 bottom rods, because you always got to have a spare, because people absolutely can just, it's the last time I was so glad I had a whole bunch of spares is I had a gal on the boat and she was wondering why the reel wasn't reeling. And I said, what's the problem? She's like, oh, it just stopped working. She took all the line on the spool and reeled it between the handle and the star drag on the outside and the inside. There was 100 yards of line inside there. So that was just a cut it, put that rod away, come back home when I'm sane and I can sit down and take the whole reel apart, take the handle off, and get 100 yards of braid out of there. So you got to have a spare. So that's 3 float rigs, 5 bottom rigs, let's say, and then maybe I want to bring a spinner or 2. So we're already up to 8 rods to maybe 10, 11. We're up to 12 rods. Just say on a minimum day. 12 rods, and what do I got on a Grady? There's 4 rod holders across the back of the leaning post, 4 little rocket launchers, and then maybe 3 on top of the T-top. I don't like putting stuff up on top of the T-top. I got 6? 4? I don't even know how many I got on my boat. I never use them. Number one, it's a pain to reach up there, okay? And I usually forget them. And I drive home with rods up in there, grabbing all the Spanish moss off the trees. So I don't like doing that. I like having rods down the side of the console like I do now. And believe it or not, on that Grady, as soon as you do that, all of a sudden your walk space on one side becomes that much more skinny. So there's not a lot of boats out there that are what I call charter worthy, where you've got to be extremely, extremely versatile in a 6-hour day, because you don't know what the weather is going to be. You don't know what your customers' skill levels are going to be. You might bring all this crap. You might bring your whole tackle room, and you end up just bottom fishing because that's what they're happiest with, and that's what it's easily done. So that's how it ends up sort of working for me. So when it boils down to it, bust out another 1,000. I mean, I would not look at a used boat without one of these moisture meters. I've already looked them up. You can get them for $69.99 down to $29.99. And yeah, Judge Yachts, yeah, get in line. You know how much they are brand new? Don't even add power. Yeah, I've watched plenty of very wealthy, well-off people with their Judge Yacht. Check out Judge Yacht's nice 26 to 27 pilot house. Well, pilot houses ain't really going to work with me because, number one, I got to get to the bow like yesterday. Like yesterday, I got to be up on the bow sometimes. Or we're going into some ungodly situation. My anchor's dragging, all that. I just found out because I've never had one. I was just watching a guy in New Jersey. Great channel. Big money guy. Lives on a bay or something in New Jersey, in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Has a absolutely humongous sport fish. And then he had a cool little 18-foot Maycraft. I mean, nice little Maycraft that he kept at his dock right behind his house. Okay? And he got rid of the Maycraft because he found what he probably spent, $200,000 on a 25 contender that was in South Florida that was really never used. And then he turns around and puts $45,000 worth of brand new Suzukis on it because it had a single. He went to twin 200s. So here he is. He's out, and he doesn't like his Maycraft. Then he's putting trolling motors on him and everything. And the moral of the story is that I thought the dude was in the charter business or something. No, he ain't. He ain't. He's a guy who's just got tons of money, right? And I don't know how he found this contender, but it is beyond sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet. So that's when I'm watching these videos, like on YouTube, and the guy's got a whole bunch of different boats, and he's doing this, and he's doing that, and looks like he spends half of his life in South Florida. New Jersey and New York, they're definitely two places that people have an affinity for. South Florida. South Florida, not Northeast Florida, like here in Bizarro World. But yeah, I watched another guy who had a little boat. He had a little dinky boat that he cruised around in, and he had a brand new Judge pilot house. And him and his wife were just ecstatic with it. Oh, they're a step above Seahawk and Parker. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Shore Sharp. Absolutely. Seahawk, you can't get any more bare bones basic than a Seahawk. Then it's maybe Maycraft. Then maybe it's Parker, because the Parker they've begun to make their boats real fluff-like. All kinds of fluffy this and that, and supery cushions and bolsters and all this bullshit. I mean, yeah. Stuff that just gets in the way. Just gets in the way. This guy in Atlantic City, he was doing a walkthrough of this brand new, to him, 23 Contender T. And I never seen it, but I never seen these before. But in the very bow, it had these seats that lay down, and then you pick them up, and the legs drop down. And his wife's filming, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know about these things, man. I think I'm gonna take these off the boat, because these things might get in the way of real fishing." And his wife, here we go again, exactly what I was telling you. His wife says, "You ain't getting rid of them. You're keeping them on the boat." Why? When she goes, she wants some fluff. She wants some fluff. So I might have to go a little fluff someday. That's what it all boils down to. All boils down. I'm not a fan of Parker. They rot away too fast. I fixed a lot of issues on a newer Parker. They don't seal their fasteners, just screw straight into plywood. So does Maycraft. I saw a guy who had a brand new, like 18, and he was backing everything out and resealing it. An older Parker and rebuilt if you have plenty of room. Yeah, tell me about it. I don't have plenty of room, and I don't have plenty of time, and I have no money. So there you go. That's what that turns into. So, oh yeah. My dad wanted to, I don't know where it was, but there was a 22 pilot house, which is more than a pilot house, a full-blown kind of walk-in cabin. Maycraft, sitting on a trailer somewhere that was in some storm. I think it was in Virginia or something. So when they got slammed by the hurricane up there, this thing, it had a tower on top of the hardtop. It was completely crushed off. The hardtop was smushed down. Oh yeah, the water's very different than ours. But the starting bid on this salvage boat that was sitting there full of water. Are you looking for a new boat? I'm always looking shore sharp. I'm always on the hunt because I need something bigger. But this Maycraft, I think that you could have had it for $2,000. But you better have a place to rip that thing asshole to elbow and put it back together. Because you do not know. You want to talk about open up a Pandora's box? Is a boat that was sunk, right? And it's on a salvage lot and you pick it up for $2,000 or less. Whoa, man. I don't have 40 acres and a mule here and a barn and a lift and a forklift. I don't have nothing. You see what I got. I got a garage full of almost nothing just to get by, a welder, and my boat sitting in front of the garage, and I can't even put anything in the garage. So that's what I got. Cam Dave, I'm late. Are you looking for a new boat? Well, that's what we're talking about here today, is looking at boats and seeing what a disaster it could be buying a 20-year-old boat and then try to make a living out of it. So I want Shore Sharp. I'm thinking I want bigger. So I don't want to sit around waiting on which is not out of the question either, sitting around for a year or whatever, waiting on a build for an aluminum boat. So what's it say here? Oh, Dave Farrell says, I live in Mississippi on the coast. I wish I lived in Mississippi on the coast. I want to be a Gulf Coast angler when I grow up. So my water is different than yours, but I'm super happy with my 26 Blue Wave Pure Bay. Well, that's what people would have here too. Isn't it funny how bay boats started out as an 18-foot rolled edge Kenner, and now look at them. 26-foot Blue Wave. I remember when Blue Waves were some little boat just like a Kenner, little rolled edge, you know. I mean, as the Texas boys always used to tell me when they're on my boat, the only reason I got a boat is to go from point A to point B and get the hell out of it and start wading and catching trout. They don't care what, they use a boat to get out of the boat. In Texas, that's their big thing. Just talked to a guy from Texas just last night in Galveston. Just called me all about wanting to know about my de-hooker rod. My big long one that I used to use that was too big. I completely rebuilt an 18-foot Chinko Tig scow. Chinko Tig scow. New stringers, floor, stern, built, new console. I put $20K into it easy. It took me 8 months to do it. It was a lot of work, but now I know what I got. Yeah. Well, of course. Of course you know what you got. Dave says his Pure Bay, 26 Pure Bay will eat up the chop. Well, that's the same thing around here. Around here, if you're not in the Pathfinder Boat Club, you're not in the clique. Do you know my boat is more of a bay boat than a Pathfinder? I think I can go a lot shallower. When I had my kicker on the back, which I don't know if anybody knows, but I sold off my kicker. I sold off my kicker and to a local guy in Jacksonville who's putting it on the back of a 25-foot Blue Wave with a 350 on the back. Nice guy, super great guy, came over, checked it out, gave me a check, came, picked it up the next week. I gave him he's got the bracket, he's got the steering rod, he's got battery, he bought everything for $3,000. So, yeah, you'd fit right in here, Dave Farrell. You'd fit right in here because everybody and their brother here owns a 22 to 24-foot Pathfinder. A few 25s. That's the boat. Everybody and their brother has it. But in all reality, this is my personal opinion. I know I'm going to hurt a lot of feelings here. And my feelings is because I had 6 Carolina Skiff Sea Chaser bay boats, 21-foot bay boats. I'm familiar with the whole bay boat scene. They're not charter boats. But every Tom, Dick, Harry, and Alice has one here and uses it as a charter boat. I mean, I've had parents tell me, if your boat was any lower sided, I wouldn't be bringing my kids out here. I take the kids all the time. Let's see. What's here? It says a bay boat to me is a 40-foot dead rise. The Chesapeake Bay isn't like other bay boats. Exactly. I know what you're talking about, Short Sharp. Believe me, those boats that you got up there, I love them. I just looked at one, had the cabin up front, came down with a little roof, and just 25 feet of deck with twin 300 Suzukis sitting on a bracket. And the thing was, I don't know, 36 foot long. And I was like, good God, look at that son of a gun. That is a charter boat. That is a charter boat. I mean, that's how I look at it. It has to be good for mom, dad, grandpa, grandma. Do you know on my boat one time I had a guy have his 90th birthday on my boat? As a matter of fact, I think it happened twice. This guy was 90. He was a little, but to look at him, just him standing there, he didn't look 90. He did not look 90. But I've had 90-year-olds on my boat, and I've had 2-year-olds on my boat. The youngest I've ever had on my boat was 9 months old, and I made a deal with the guy. You can bring a 9-month-old for a 2-hour trip with his little kids. He had 2 little 5 or 6-year-olds. If the 9-month-old's feet never touch my deck. And the guy was very, very nice about it, him and his wife. The 9-month-old sat in mom's lap, and she sat and never moved. And the little baby sat right here. And he was a doctor in Jacksonville, and he was from Afghanistan or Pakistan or something. One of the stands. Jerkistan. I don't know. Okay, who says what else here? Blasted Cat. Bay boat with 24-inch draft. Yeah, that works. Well, that's the thing. Do you know when I had my kicker on the back of my boat, we got a place here called Mill Cove. The average depth of Mill Cove, even at high tide, is probably 3 feet or less. Yeah, Dave says the only fish is really mainly marsh here. But when I had the kicker on the back of my boat, I could tilt up my big engine, put the kicker down. Do you know I could go across wet mud? Wet mud. I could go right across it. I go places in my boat, especially in the deep winter, up in the grass, doing the marsh thing. Yeah, with his jack plate. Yeah, everybody's got a jack plate around here. Everybody's got a jack plate. But I could go up in this place called Mill Cove and fish all day, and I got the flats boats ripping by me, and they're all rubbernecking because I'm sitting up right along the marsh with 4 guys and me on a boat, all throwing popping corks up to the grass, catching reds and trout and stuff like that. And the guys are going by in 16-foot flats boats, and they're like, they're breaking their neck to see what the hell I'm doing in there. Because my boat floats like an absolute cork. To me, the best bay boat in the entire world would be something like the Hankos, okay, or Scully's, or something like they make over in Louisiana. That's the best bay boat. Let's see. Dave says, we fish the marsh mainly over there in Mississippi. For redfish and trout, bay boat is the only way to go here unless you want to go catch tuna. Then you need to go sporté. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Bay boats were definitely made for the Gulf Coast. But there's guys here in Jacksonville, Florida, that'll take a 21-foot Carolina skiff bay boat. 21-foot, single engine, with several guys on it, and go 55 miles offshore. Can you believe that? 55 miles offshore to go wahoo trolling. So they're all the same guys that are inshore gurus, and then in the summer and everything, they become offshore gurus. There's nobody who's just a guru that just does one thing. You know, I mean, They all become gurus. But yeah, everybody's got a jack plate. I was thinking about putting a jack plate on mine, but I really didn't. I talked to a guy and he goes, oh, 7 inches. You'll get 7 inches height out of, I don't know what jack plate I was looking at, or Bob's Machine Shop or something. And I said, for $1,500, for $1,500. So let's do the math. 7 inches divided by $1,500. That was a little out of mine. And then the work to put it on and all that. So what do you say here? NY Unix Guru says, geez, you got no waves down there. We got waves. We got plenty of waves. I don't know why, Shore Sharp, your message came up, held for review. That is how YouTube's algorithm, what do you call it? We better really watch out, because if this is artificial intelligence going on here, we better watch out as humans. The message that is held, I'm gonna say show. I don't know if I can do it. I can't. Oh, let's see. Okay, show. Okay, your message. Oh, wait a minute. Dave Farrell, too. Okay. True story. This snapper season, I seen a 14-foot John boat out 30 miles out, and it was shitty. Him and his old lady. Oh, yeah, we got a sailfish tournament here that goes a year long in Jacksonville. It's called the Sailfish Pot Party. And I know a guy who won it in a 17-foot Carolina skiff, because he went out in the perfect time when the sailfish come closer to the beach. See, Shore Sharp says Carolina skiff basically copied the Shinko Teague scow. Oh, but effed it up. That's the reason that's the reason your message got held for review. Because we ain't all adults here, are we? Okay. A scow ride's way better and doesn't wet you. Huh. I'd like to see a picture of this Chinko Teague scow, if I'm saying it right. Chinko Teague scow. Shinko Teague. Is it like the ponies? Shinko Teague ponies? Or do they call them Chinko Teague ponies? Yeah, Shore Sharp, you need to send me an email at jettywolf@gmail.com. And it would be really neat to see one. Maybe I'll get one. I will email you. Yes, the same island. Okay. Chinko Teague. I like just saying that. It's kind of like Chinko Teague. Kind of like saying shrinkage on the Seinfeld episode. They said when they did the shrinkage episode, with George going in the pool when the water was cold, the writers wrote shrinkage, right? And then Larry David said to the writers, you use that word shrinkage. You keep using it and keep repeating it. Shrinkage. And they're like, okay. He says, because that word is funny. Well, that's what it seems like. Shinko Teague. Scow. Scow doesn't sound like a pretty word, though. Skiff. It should be Shinko Teague skiff. I know up in New Jersey, okay, I had an uncle who had a house in New Jersey. And they had a boat up there called the Garvey. It was always hand-built wooden, real pointy bow, flat bottom, and they called them a Garvey. And guys would scallop and stuff like that out of them. So, yeah, well, maybe I'll get an email here. We'll be looking at a Chinko Teague scow. I'm up for all kinds of stuff, but the picture in the thumbnail, I look at that I look at that 29-foot Seahawk. I think it's 9.5-foot beam. Now another boat that is huge, but it doesn't look like it when you just see a picture of it, is there's a privateer. They're being made now by a company or a guy named Radcliffe. Privateer, another Carolina boat. They have one that's a 10.5-foot beam, 28-foot long. You see a picture of this thing? You can't even imagine how big this boat is when you see a picture. I had to find a picture of like a guy standing in it to get a good representation of how big one of those boats really are. But see, I've got to load it myself, retrieve it myself, tow it, store it. So I can't go too big. I can't go really too big, but I just want to go bigger. Privateer is way better built versus the Seahawk. Well, I'm sure it is. The Seahawk is not. Yeah. NY Unix Guru says, yeah, privateers are beasts. I've had two. Well, you know, I love all the North Carolina boats. I like them all. I found out to get a Maycraft just built, it'll be about 4 months, I think the guy said. We have a dealer here over in Crystal River, which if you go from the east coast of east coast here in Jacksonville, and then there's the Big Bend. Here's the panhandle of Florida. And then they call this the Big Bend, where it makes a sharp drop to the south. That area is called the Big Bend. Right in there's an area called Crystal River. And there's a Maycraft dealer there. And I talked to him via email. And he said 3 to 4 months, and you could have a brand new Maycraft hull. See, I can't go too crazy, and I guarantee them privateers are probably more than the Maycraft. I'm 60 years old. How much longer am I going to be able to do what I'm doing? I would say 25 years. 25 years if no catastrophes happen. All right? If I don't have some kind of catastrophe, it's always a health catastrophe. All right? And so 25 years. I don't need a boat built that will last 50 years. I don't need anything too, like, over the top. That's for sure. But at the same time, I don't know. It's just one of those things. An old T-Craft, man, I had a buddy thinking old T-Craft rebuild would be cool. But then there's that time and money thing. You got that right. I had a buddy of mine had a T-Class. Yeah, remember Murphy's Law. That's Frank says, remember Murphy's Law. Yeah, what will go wrong will go wrong. Yeah. T-Craft. I had a buddy of mine had a 23 Playboy T-Craft. And he turned it into, which it was a cuddy, he turned it into a center console straight shaft inboard. I fished off that thing for years with him, bottom fishing offshore. Yeah, T-Craft. The mold is now, and I think that kind of went by the wayside, Robin boats. They started using the T-Craft hull. It was a West Coast of Florida company, Robin boats, and they supposedly bought the T-Craft molds. Just like right now, there's a boat that is not overly priced. It's another one in that genre of Seacraft or Seahawk, Maycraft, Privateer, all those. It's in that realm. A guy bought out the old Seahawks molds, which, believe it or not, I think like my 23 Maycraft was kind of reminiscent of the 23 sea ox mold because that's what Ken May told me. I met Ken May at the Miami Boat Show. He's retired. His son now works for Maycraft, Chad, but then again, there's a new owner. So that's sort of how that worked. But I actually was right next to at the dock one time. Sea Ox Cuddy and my boat was sitting there. Me and the owner were standing back and going, yeah, look, it's very similar. But supposedly it was too close to Sea Fox or something. And the guy who was building them went to, it's called Pairs Custom because his last name is Pairs, Pairs, I believe. There's some part-timer or somebody out of the boat ramp that does charters, and he blew his whole fortune on a Pairs 20, might be a 24. They only make like a 22 and a 24 Pairs Custom. And it's a very simple boat. I mean, it's kind of like what you could say Parker used to be. So there's those out there also. So everything's worth looking at. But I just thought this would just be a topic because good God, the money that you throw into it. People say to me all the time on charters, you know, we're out there and we're talking about stuff and everybody always says, boy, if you won the lottery, you'd probably have one of them giant sport fish, big old sport fish would go by. And I go, hell no. If I had that kind of money, I'd be fishing all around the world on somebody else's boat, not mine. So that is the story. I have 460 something hours on my 2-year-old Suzuki now. I think it's going to be 2 years old. I got it in May 8th of 2020. So May 8th of 2022 would make it 2 years. And this May coming up will make it 3 years. And I only have 460 hours on it. And that's the way I like it. People like to say, I got 1,300 hours on my engine. Yeah, young boats, big money. Big money, young. I know a guy with a young boat. All right, Shore Sharp said, sent me the email. All righty, I appreciate that, Shore Sharp. So I'll be able to see what a Chinko Tig scow looks like. So, yeah, I looked at the youngs. They started out basic, but now they're like, they want to be like Contender and, big time, big money, big money. So that's this money that I don't have, I'd like to get a bigger boat, but bigger throws in maybe bigger trailer. It starts throwing in all kinds of stuff. I'd love to show you what I was looking at. I'm going to see if I can do it here. Let me bring something up. Stand by, stay with me right here for a second. Let me show you what I was bantering back and forth with a guy. The best in our area is a ZCB. What is that? ZCB here in my city. They are high dollar though. ZCB. I don't know what a ZCB is. I worked on a 30-foot T-Craft. Well done. It was all open with perfect size pilot house, closed transom, bare bone perfection. Blasted cat. Yeah, I mean, there was nothing wrong with the T-Craft. They were pretty bulletproof boats. I don't know what a ZCB is in my city. They are high dollar though. That's what Dave Farrell says. Let me show you something here. I'm going to go to another website. I'm going to see if I can hold the camera and show you. I'm going to show you what I was really bantering around with a broker. And you tell me what you think of this. Okay, so stand by here. Here we go. I'm going to show you And let's see. Okay, here we go. I got to, let me take the camera, or let me take the phone, let me take the dumb phone out of the bracket here, and let me show you this. Okay. All right, I'm there. I'm there. I'm not doing another Pacific. No. I'm too familiar with the Pacific right now. I wanna go a different direction. But let me try to show you this. Here's what I've been bantering a guy with. Let's see. Let me hone in here, and there you go. All right. Where is it? Why isn't I can't hold on with me. Don't go nowhere. I'm trying to. Where the hell? Okay, stay with me. I'm trying to. See, my phone is still in a case. Why won't this? I'm showing everybody's comments. I can't. All right, I'm trying to show you this. I'm trying to show you this boat. I know this. I'll get chastised for doing this, believe me. I'm trying to show you a boat. All right. All right. There you go. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see here. There's what I've been looking at. Where is the camera lens on this? Okay, let's see. There you go. That is a 1993 Dusky 25-foot fish around cabin. Fish around cabin. It's got storage, and it's got a brand spanking new Suzuki 300 on it. So, I was bantering with the broker over that boat. But, okay, hold on. I'm trying to get the camera back in the holder here. But the problem with that is, it's a 1993. It's got a brand new engine on it. It's got an aluminum trailer. It's got a little cabin that you walk around. It's not your standard walk around if you ever looked at a Dusky fish around cabin. The cabin isn't something you're going down in there and, it's what it is. It's over. Normally, a 25 Dusky like that would have the V bow seating, right, up in the very bow. And then what they do is they take the shell and put it over it. So then you've got the V bow seating inside. It was a charter boat in North Carolina. That's what the guy used it for. It already comes with a top. It's got a bow pulpit on there, exactly what I need to hold my big old giant grapnel anchor. Let's see, Shore Shark, Capt Dave, look into Evans. They have the last boat built. Okay, let me go back to this. See, comments do not stay up on here. Look into Evans. They have the last boat they built. It's a 25 on a 9.5-foot Bain with twin Mercs. Evans. I never heard of them. There's a lot of these obscure little boat builders out there, and that's where you guys, I always say, if you come up with something, just shoot me an email. I'm into learning. That's what I'm into. I'm into learning. Now, Dave Farrell, if he's still up on here, what is a ZCB? What is a ZCB boat? The best in my area is a ZCB made here in my city. They're high dollar though. Um, Ocean Springs, Mississippi. The ZCB is made just down the road from me. I'll have to look that up. ZCB. And I'll have to look up Evans. See, a lot of these small boat companies don't have like a website. Oh, Evans is a custom boat builder about 20 minutes away from me. I had a 28 Evans with twin 4BT Cummins. Okay, Evans, yeah. Huh, that's interesting. It's a hybrid bay boat. The Z, what was it called? ZCB? A hybrid bay boat. Huh. That's a company I never even heard of. I figured I heard about every single company pretty much in the South. So, all right, well, that's the great thing about this. You know, if somebody sees something or a builder or something that they think, you know, you can just shoot me an email of their website or Facebook page, or that's another thing. They'll have a Facebook page maybe, but they won't have a website. You know, so you can't see nothing except what's on there. But I mean, I can tell, I know. I talked to a guy at the #1 dealer for Maycraft, which is Collins Marine in Smithfield, North Carolina. And I said, 27-foot Maycraft. No engine, single engine bracket, no bow rail, no BS. A console and a boat and maybe 38 pole holders going all the way around the damn thing. Okay? How much? And he was telling me that that's going to be, even that is like $68,000. Whoa, that's a lot. So when you get into all these smaller boat builders and stuff, I don't know if they make anything. My #1 thing I want is nice open deck and a closed transom. And I want to go back to having a big recirculating live well. That's what I want. Big recirculating live well. Even though I probably won't even use it much. I'll use it for some pogies every once in a while. But I could always get away with something smaller with shrimp and all. So that's what I'm looking at. You know, they got a whole bunch of stuff going on up there in the Chesapeake that you don't see anywhere else. That's for sure. But I sure do appreciate everybody's comments here. I learned something already. I'm going to look up ZCB boats in, where was that? Ocean Springs, Mississippi. Man, I wish I was in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. Whew. It's just that much closer to Lake Pontchartrain. I'm going to look up Evans. So I hope like hell that this chat goes up underneath this video, because it didn't do it last time. I'm hoping that it does it. I don't know. Yeah, the trout bite is. Freemason is the one I want. Really? I seen Freemasons. There was a couple used ones for close to 200 grand. I don't know. The Freemason looked like it was had about that much freeboard in the stern. You know. Trout bite is hot now over in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. I'm sure it is. The trout bite over that way can be absolute crap, and it's still better than the trout bite over here. I mean, there is no trout bite here compared to over there. I don't know if y'all watch. I do. I cannot watch them, though, but I'm subscribed to them. is matrix shad. Chaz Champagne. He makes matrix shad soft plastics. The worst day of trout fishing over there in Lake Pontchartrain, he will catch more trout than some people will catch here in 6 months. With 3 guys on the boat or 2 guys on the boat and his wife on the boat. I don't know. I don't know what he does with all these trout. I mean, what can you do with them all? You can't eat that many unless you want to, get full of mercury or something. I don't know. Oh, man. So, all right. Well, I appreciate everybody coming on. This has been really good. This has been fun. It's been fun for me. So what I'm going to try to do is something like this that you can look forward to every Sunday. Unless I'm fishing or unless something happens. Let's see. The People's Rooster. Hello. Well, hello to you too. So I'm going to try to do this. The Freemason. Oh my God, that's an expensive boat. Like I just said, I just saw like 2 of them as I'm scanning all the for sale boat listings. I think they were close to $200,000. You might as well just go get a yellowfin bay boat. They have twin 300s. I think there's one here where a guy's got a yellowfin bay boat and it's got twin 300s hanging on the back. What the hell do you need that for? And it just sits there, hanging behind his house, never used. That's the kind of boat I want to find. No bottom paint, never used, nothing. So, all right, who came on here? Shore Sharp, Capt Dave, good luck with the boat search. I like the live stream. It's 49 degrees and raining. Well, it was spritzing here, kind of overcast and lots of wind. So, Dave Farrell, I caught 30 keeper trout 2 days ago. You won't catch 30 keeper trout here on a single day, on a single 6 months. I mean, right now, if I went out trout fishing, we would struggle for a 5 or 6. What is it now? It's 5. We'd probably struggle. I mean, if I took customers, let's put it that way. If I took somebody who really knew their stuff, like Traveler Bob. But even right now, I don't know. We would certainly not get 30 keepers. We'd get 10 throwbacks and 3 or 4 keepers. That would be a 7-to-1. Yeah, our limit is 15 inches and 15 per person. Well, our limit is super Sucksville. Number 1, I can't have a limit on a charter anymore. And it's 14 to 19 inches at 5 per person with 1 over 19 inches for the entire boat. The entire boat. I mean, that's ridiculous. It used to be 1 over 20 inches per person. So if you had 4 people on the boat, each person had a chance at a trophy fish. No more. I'm not even that much interested in the trout fishing here anymore since they did that to us. Since they did that to us on the limit, I'm kind of losing interest. I'd move. Yeah, I would love to pick up and move that direction. I would love to do that. But it takes a job. Yeah, my favorite fishing is speck trout, red, and flounder drifting on the ocean side. Yeah, well, you got it way better than here up in Shore Sharp said that. Way better up in Chesapeake than Jacksonville. I mean, it's not, our fishing isn't, I mean, our fishing is like a super graph. Ocean Springs is the best spot on the coast. Is it? Well, you wouldn't consider Lake Pontchartrain on the coast, would you? I love Lake Pontchartrain for the sheer fact that this guy, Chaz Champagne at Matrix Shad, he can actually put a GoPro underwater. Do you see me put a GoPro underwater? It's because I can't. The water is pure brown filth. Dirt, particulates, tannin. Come visit. Yeah. Well, in this business, well, right now there's nothing going on. Absolutely nothing going on. What I'm wanting to do is plan a trip over to Louisiana to look at some of these boat builders and just look around over there. Some of these aluminum boat builders would be nice. I just don't know. I don't know. But you kind of get stuck where you're at, and then this economy beats you down. You're never up here so high that it enables you to do anything, because if you're only this high for so long, and then something like Sleepy Joe comes along and just kills everything. And in all reality, why are you looking for another boat? Bigger, Shore Sharp. I'm always looking for another reel. I'm always looking for another rod. How do you think I found those tsunamis? I found those tsunamis because I'm always looking for another rod. There's a friend of mine who said, and he used to have a beautiful, beautiful boat. Barrier Islands, Ship Island and Horn Island. Oh boy. Look out, Barrier Islands. Dave Farrell said, look at Barrier Island, Ship Island and Horn Island. Oh, I'll breeze around. I spend hours on Google Earth looking around. So yeah, this gives me all kinds of opportunities for things to do. I need things to do. But I bet you could take your boat to a welder and have her stretched. I could take my boat to a lot of places and have a lot done. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. I think this year it's 16 years old. I think. Let's see. 223, 2006, 13, so that leaves, well, it's about, in 2023, I think it's going to be almost 17 years old. Well, it's charter fishing here's all year round, Dave. It's all year round here. Problem is, there's nobody here to spend any money. I mean, there is, but there isn't. Their problem is there's a fishing guide on every street corner now. When I started, there was like 4 or 5 of us leaving out of the boat ramp that I leave from. And it all came down to the easiness of getting a charter license and the internet. The internet, everybody on the internet now, Fishing Booker and all these places, they're all trying to make money off of poor fishermen. Do you know you don't have to have a website, which I'm having a new website built, because the people that handle mine and built mine are for shit. They'll give you a website. They basically build you a website. They promote you, and you got to give them 25% of your income. But then you're listed on there with like 70 other guys. The entire charter business anymore isn't what it used to be. Well, it's the same thing as everything else. It ain't what it used to be. We do it all year round. I have done nothing else for 26 years. That is what I do. That's it. I'm not a fireman. Do you see you don't see any sugar mama around here, do you? There ain't a single sugar mama in this house. I don't want a sugar mama in this house. Because then she comes in and she starts changing everything. So, yeah, that's what I do. I've been a full-time fishing guide since 1996. I fished too much and I got fired from my state job. I worked for the state of Florida, that we used to call it, working for the state of Florida ain't nothing but a tropical depression. I worked there almost 10 years before I got a cost of living raise. When I got a cost of living raise, it wasn't even a raise. If you were there more than 5 years, they give you a $500 payoff check. And if you were there for more than over 5 years, you got a $750 check. And the writing was on the wall is that you're never going to make any money with these people. I left there and over doubled my income. And it just keeps getting. It wasn't bad when Trump was in office. It wasn't bad at all. Things, here's the difference. I don't care who's sitting on the fence about who they like and who they don't like. Just pay attention to this. Biden, downer of the country. You're a threat to democracy. Trump, cheerleader. America, number one. America is great. America is good. Let's make it even better. Biden, this country, the citizens suck. I mean, there's the difference right there. Cheerleader or non-cheerleader. That's how I look at it. I ain't going to get into politics because, good God, I might, I get thrown in jail. Let's see. Shore Sharp says, your style of charter fishing here on the Chesapeake has exploded. The older charter guys have all retired and sold off. The light tackle charters are busy. Yeah. Well, I don't know. You got to have a bay boat with a trolling motor to do, what I call the cool guy fishing. Okay. I left it 10 years ago. I'm much happier now. I fish when and how I want to. That's what Dave Farrell says. I left it 10 years ago. I'm much happier. What, charter fishing? Yeah, well, I don't ever see, even doing anything but this until it's the absolute last ounce, with fuel prices and everything else. I mean, I'm $6.50 for 6 hours, up to 4 people. The Gulf over in, let's just take Venice, Louisiana, for example. There was years ago that I was over there and just visiting. And there's guys over there and they'll do 6 people in a 25-foot bay boat for $1,200 a day. What? It's because it's worth it. You're actually going to come home and fish. And lots and lots and lots of them. I mean, over there, I was just telling this story the other day. I think I was telling my dad. I had a guy who was from New Orleans or something visiting the electric company over here in Jacksonville. So I had 2 electric guys on my boat and that were from here and one from New Orleans. And the guy says to me from New Orleans, or it might have been in Baton Rouge, I don't know where he was from, somewhere, And he says, Dave, where's your camp? I said, my what? Oh. And then I said, my camp. What are you talking about, my camp? He says, over Louisiana, I go fishing with a guy, he's got his own camp. And I said, well, over there, they give that flood marsh away. I said, around here, you ain't having no camp because you can't have a camp for the square footage of property what it costs around here. I don't have a camp with a double wide for customers to stay in. Nobody in Florida ever does that, hardly. Hardly. I mean, you can't even do it. I was single back then and did the offshore thing. Now I'm married and have small kids again. Well, I was married, good God, 30 years ago? Yeah, camp is definitely a Louisiana thing. Yeah, I was married 30 years ago. I've never turned back. I have a hard enough time just supporting myself, let alone kids. So, but yeah, camp is definitely a Louisiana thing, for sure. It's because the property is dirt cheap. It's probably going up now because everything goes up. But I mean, I remember even finding in the back of Louisiana Sportsman magazine a 100 by 100 by 100 solid concrete pad with electric, cable TV, and a phone wire and a giant spotlight with a bulkhead and 2 docks. Okay, 2 docks came with the property. $35,000 in Slidell, right? Eden Isles, to be absolutely specific. Eden Isles, which basically in the Slidell area. $35,000. You go there, you drop your trailer on it or your camper, and you call it, boom, you're living. And you go out the canal, boom, you're right there looking at the I-10 bridge going over Lake Pontchartrain. $35,000. You know what you get for $35,000 here? You can't buy my goddamn driveway for $35,000 in Florida. So, all right, well, we've been going long enough, I guess, here, but look for something like this. Hopefully, every Sunday, I'm going to kind of go with a topic. Camps are pretty high now, yeah. Compared to Florida, they're probably still dirt cheap. Because, I mean, either you buy a camp or you just buy a chunk of marshland, right? And you put your stuff on 10-foot piles, right? I seen one time that's really cool looking when you look at all that stuff. Guy puts up pilings and he puts in big braces, and then they bring in a crane or something, and he picks up an entire single wide and sits it on the framework of the piles, and there's his camp. Got himself a camp up in the air. I mean, see, that's the funny thing, is a single swinging, fisherman. I could live in a place like that and it wouldn't bother me one bit. Because you know what? I'm like Cosmo Kramer. I don't mind depriving myself of things. Remember? So, okay. All right, great discussion, Captain Dave. All right, well, we'll pack it in. Thanks to everybody for stopping by. This has been great. I got so much to look up now and do. Don't forget, still, even on these lives, thumbs up is what it's all about. Like I said before, YouTube is part of how I pay my bills. Do you know that? I mean, I said that in the last one. I get a 1099 or 1090 or whatever they call it from Google. I have to pay taxes on this money, all right, that I earn, and I don't earn that much. I know plenty of people that have had the single wife camps. The reason they do that is a storm is going to take it sooner or later. Well, of course. Yeah, I would not own anything over in Louisiana. I'm not sure if I lived where you live, I'd own anything. Unless I'm, far enough from the water. See, the funny thing is here, right down the street from me, okay, there's my road right here, right in front of my house, and then there's a road at the end, like this. Their backyard is solid marsh and creeks. Then you go this way, my road goes into the major road, okay, the major thoroughfare that goes north and south. My road goes into that road, and then there's property on that side, and they're solid marsh. So it's not like I'm not near water, but I'm high and dry. I don't have to pay for flood insurance or anything. And the last hurricane that directly hit Jacksonville, Florida, I mean, boom, right in to Jacksonville Beach. was the year I was born in 1963. So, there you go. We don't really have that big of an issue here. But yeah, I could live in a camp and just fish. And the problem is when you live in one of those camps, man, the Home Depot is sure far away. The grocery store is sure far away to get a gallon of milk. You know. So I'm going to pack it up. Like I said, possibly look for something like this. I can kind of get it rolling every Sunday. Well, we'll just by next Sunday, something else will be on my mind that I'll be able to throw at you guys, and you get to throw ideas back at me. All right. So thanks for stopping by. I'm going to let this one. We're going to time out of this baby. It's been an hour and 30 minutes already. How about that? So I'll talk to you on the next one. Like I said, this is what it's all about, folks. This is what it's all about. YouTube doesn't give two hoots about anybody. All they care about is this. All right. So what it boils down to is if all I care about is making something like this sometimes, and because like I said, it helps pay the way over in this part of this neck of the woods. And the way they do that is by that, the Chinese social credit score. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks. I appreciate every one of you who made a comment and stopped on in. Boom.